Every year, you work for months without seeing a single coin of what you earn. Not for your savings, not for your family. For a stranger you've never met who has been counting your money since before you were born. We call him the tax collector. And the argument you're having with him today is the same argument a farmer had 5,000 years ago, standing in a field, watching a man with a measuring rod walk toward his grain. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you where taxes really came from, why almost every empire in history rose and fell on the back of one, and why the feeling that you're being robbed is older than money itself. And by the end, you'll understand the single most misunderstood number in your entire financial life, the difference between what your tax rate says and what you actually pay. Because here's the part no one tells you. The average worker spends nearly a third of the year laboring purely to cover their taxes, a third of your life. So the least you can do is understand where it goes. Let me take you back. Let's start with a village. 10 families, one well, one wall to keep raiders out, one road to the market. None of it builds itself. So every family brings a share of their grain to a common store, a granary. That granary is the first budget in human history. The well, the wall, the road, paid for by everyone, used by everyone. Nobody argues that the granary should exist. The argument starts the moment someone has to decide how much each family gives and who walks the fields to collect it. That someone appears around 5,000 years ago in Egypt and Mesopotamia. He carries two things: a rod to measure your land and your harvest, and a ledger, a record of exactly what you owe. He is the first tax collector. In that ledger is the first tax return. In ancient Egypt, this was serious enough that scribes trained for years just to assess the harvest. They measured the height of the Nile flood to predict the size of the crop and taxed you before you'd even harvested it. This is the birth of a concept you still live under: the tax base, the thing they measure to decide what you owe. And it was so central to power that one of the most famous objects on Earth, the Rosetta Stone, is not a poem, not a prayer. It's a tax decree, carved in stone to announce which priests would be exempt, even 3,000 years ago. The real news was always who pays and who doesn't. Now push forward to Rome. Rome had roads, armies, aqueducts, the most expensive machine the ancient world had ever seen. And to feed it, Rome invented something we still fight over today. Instead of hiring its own collectors, Rome sold the job. They were called the publicani, private men who bid for the right to collect taxes in a province. Whoever promised Rome the most won the contract, and then went to collect. Think about what that does. The publicanus has already paid Rome up front. Every coin he squeezes out of a province, beyond that, he keeps. He is not a public servant. He is a middleman with a quota and a profit motive. This is tax farming, and it is the reason the tax collector became the most hated figure in the ancient world. In fact, he was despised so deeply that his very name became a byword for sinner, the publican, lumped in with thieves and outcasts. Not because he took taxes, but because of how much he took for himself. Here's the financial lesson hiding inside the history. It was never just about how much Rome charged. It was about who stood between you and the state and how much they added on top. The same grain, the same field, but the burden doubled. Because a private hand took its cut in the middle. That structure, a collector who profits from collecting, bled the provinces dry. And when people finally rose up against Rome, again and again in its history, the spark was rarely philosophy. It was the tax rolls, the ledger, the man with the quota, standing in the field, exactly like 5,000 years before him. Some things, it seems, never change. So let's go back to our village, because now we can see the real question underneath every tax in history. It was never, should the granary exist. Almost everyone agrees the well and the wall and the road are worth paying for. The fight for 5,000 years has only ever been about three things: how much each family gives, who collects it, and whether the burden falls fairly or crushes the poorest family while the richest barely feels it. That last one matters more than any other number. Imagine two families. One brings 10 sacks of grain a year and is asked for one. The other brings 100 sacks and is also asked for one. The other brings 100 sacks and is also asked for one. The same tax, but for the poor family, that one sack is dinner. For the rich family, it's a rounding error. This is the oldest tension in public money. A flat amount is not the same as a fair one. And every system after this, Rome, medieval kings, modern nations, has been an attempt to answer it. Do you tax the grain, the land, the salt, the trade, or do you finally tax the one thing that actually reveals how much someone can afford? For thousands of years, no one dared, until a single war forced a nation to cross a line no government had ever crossed before. The year is 1799. Britain is at war with Napoleon, and it is running out of money. Wars are the most expensive thing a nation can do, and this one is bleeding the treasury dry. So the Prime Minister, William Pitt, does something radical. Something that would have been unthinkable to a Roman, to a pharaoh, to any ruler before him. He taxes income itself. Not your grain, not your land, not your salt. What you earn. For the first time, the state reaches past everything you own and measures the flow of money into your hands. People were horrified. It felt like an invasion. The government demanding to know exactly what you made. It was meant to be temporary, just for the war. It was repealed, and then it came back, and it never truly left. Today, the income tax is the single largest source of money for most governments on Earth. And with it came the tool you feel most directly. Because governments learned something crucial, don't wait for people to hand over the money. Take it before they ever touch it. That is withholding, the tax pulled straight out of your paycheck before it reaches your account. The most efficient collector ever invented is the one that reaches you before you can close your hand. The man with the rod and the ledger never went away. He just moved into your payslip. Now, the part that will actually change how you look at your own money, because most people carry a fear about taxes that is simply wrong. Here's the myth. People believe that if a raise pushes them into a higher tax bracket, they'll take home less money overall. So they turn down raises. They fear earning more. And it is completely false. Taxes work in layers. Think of it like filling glasses. The first slice of your income is taxed at the lowest rate. Only the money above each line is taxed at the higher rate. When you move up a bracket, only the dollars inside that top layer pay the higher rate, never your whole income. A raise always leaves you with more. Always. This is the difference between your marginal rate, the rate on your last dollar earned, and your effective rate, the actual percentage you pay across everything. Your effective rate is almost always far lower than the scary top number you're afraid of. Confuse these two, and you'll make decisions out of fear that cost you real money. And this layered design is also the answer to that ancient village problem. It's built so the family with 100 sacks contributes a larger share than the family with 10. Whether it truly succeeds is one of the oldest debates in politics. But that is the intent written into the math. Two more distinctions worth their weight in gold. First, tax avoidance is legal. Tax evasion is a crime. Using every deduction and credit the law offers you. That's not cheating. That's the system working as designed. Hiding income and lying on the ledger, that's the thing that put people in chains for 5,000 years. And second, a deduction lowers the income you're taxed on. A credit lowers the tax itself, dollar for dollar. A credit is almost always more powerful, and most people leave them on the table simply because they never learned the difference. The tax collector has counted on your confusion for 5,000 years. The single most profitable thing you can do is refuse to be confused. So the next time that number lands on your paycheck, remember what you're really looking at. Not theft, not charity. The oldest agreement in human history, the granary, the well, the wall, the road, and a 5,000-year-old argument about who pays, who collects, and whether the burden falls fairly. You are standing exactly where that farmer stood, watching the man with the rod walk toward the grain. The only difference is that now you understand the ledger, and that changes everything, because the person who understands the rules plays a very different game than the person who's simply afraid of them. If this gave you a new way to see the money leaving your account, subscribe. This is one chapter in a much larger story about where your money really comes from and where it goes, because taxes are what you owe the state. But there's an older, more dangerous kind of debt, the kind you owe to other people. The kind that, not so long ago, could put you in prison. That's next time.